Welcome to the Technical Feature Enablement video for risk-led due diligence screening request templates. This feature is now generally available as of the 2025 02.1.0 release, also known as the 2025 winter release. This video reflects OneTrust's current expectations for product capabilities, but dates and features may be subject to change and should not be relied upon when making purchasing decisions. Let's get started. The Risk-Led Due Diligence Screening Request Template is a new feature for TPDD admins and compliance managers that allows you to define a template of specific details to return from a Dow Jones screening. Until now, Dow Jones screenings were comprehensive by default, leading to a great deal of overhead in screening lower-risk third parties. With the ability to apply different screening criteria against various third parties via a template, you can reduce your compliance overhead and maximize your compliance budget. Before we walk through the product, there are a few caveats and prerequisites. First, these screening templates do not yet apply to nth parties. Second, you cannot use templates with ad hoc requests. They only apply to workflows. Likewise, the request templates are unavailable through bulk create and update operations. Additionally, the templates are not editable once published. If you need to change a template, you can archive and recreate the template. Finally, please note that the configurable request templates require the latest Dow Jones workflows, which you can find in the integrations gallery. Let's look at the configurable screening templates in action. Screening request templates are in the setup menu for third-party due diligence. The default UI has a single template for existing TPDD users, the default content screening template. This template contains the screening and monitoring criteria existing customers are already familiar with. As you can see, this template is screened against name and country with a 70% match percentage and returns details from both the person and organization risk content. As you create a screening template, the first step is to select the screening subscription. While this currently shows only the single subscription type, over time this may change to include new subscription types. Next, you select the match percentage, which allows you to be more or less stringent than the default. After that, the template has an option for country and territory, allowing you to apply a template that does not use the geographic filter of the third-party record for screening results. Lastly, there are screening options. You'll notice that you also get configurability to define whether you're screening for organizations, people, or both, with the options to further define some filters for persons such as gender or birth year. If you're only screening for organizations, you'll notice additional configuration options for choosing between ID or name-based screening. Choosing the ID-based screening allows you to configure the specific ID information for the screening, such as the DUNS number. If you switch to person-only screening, you'll note that name-based or ID-based screening is also an option here. However, the list of IDs are now ID types specific to persons and not organizations, such as driving license or social security number. Note that if you're screening across both person and organization types, you do not get the ID type, as no ID type is universal across both of those entity types. Once you save and continue your template settings, you can choose your content filtering. Because I chose organizations and persons on the previous screen, you see here I get content for both persons and organizations. One item to call out is that some content filters are specific to either a person, such as politically exposed person, or organizations, such as state-owned companies. One other note to call out is that adverse media is a specific content set at Dow Jones for organizations, whereas adverse media on persons actually falls into their watchlist content. In other words, we structured the filters you see to clarify how we'll make the request to Dow Jones using the request filter as you configure it. Once you save the filters, you'll be shown a review screen. Your next step is to publish the template. Again, once published, the templates are read-only and cannot be modified. With the request templates in place, you'll move to workflows to start leveraging them. Let's look at a screening workflow. In this workflow, I'm going to the stage where I'm screening and editing the stage rules. In this first rule, my conditions look for an unknown high or critical CPI risk score, which then triggers a Dow Jones integration workflow for screening. But now I have two new selections: the entity type and screening request template. Based on what I choose in the entity type, it dynamically shows the available published request templates based on how they were created. Remember, the request templates allowed you to define whether the template applied to organizations, people, or both. which is what scopes your available results in this list. For instance, if I select Organization Only, I see request templates that apply to organizations, such as the DUNS screening request template. If I change the selection to Person Only, notice the list of templates changes. One reminder is that what you see is also driven by the selection in the integration workflow box. When creating the request template, you could select whether the template was specifically for monitoring versus screening and monitoring. The option presented in the request template field for the workflow will not show screening templates if you've selected a monitoring workflow. One last item before we close out the video. As you browse to a third party and view the screening result details, you'll notice a new column added to the table of results. As I scroll right, there is now a screening template column that shows which template was used to gather the screening results. Thank you for watching this video. We hope it was helpful and informative. Please see the additional videos on My OneTrust that cover the new features in other areas of the product. If you are interested in more details about the 2025 winter release or what's going on with the product in general, please be sure to check out the OneTrust Talks Tech podcast.